welcome tonight to tonight's November Club meeting. Got some, obviously some good news this month to spread, so get on with it. Obviously, one of the big burning issues that a few people are asking is when's YARC going to reopen? Well, we haven't actually yet arrived at a final date because there's some preliminary work and things to be done. There's going to be a working bee up there this weekend. I stress that is an invitation only, obviously because we're restricted in numbers. So unless Brian Stewart has contacted you and said you're one of the ones, then thank you, but not this month or not right now. There'll probably have to be another one fairly soon anyway. So there's a bit that still needs to be done. But look, keep an eye out on Weekend Wrap, folks, for updates in relation to what's happening up there. We'll get the news out to you as quickly as we can. There is a DA weekend. There's a YARC working bee this month, invitation only, I again stress, and then followed by a driver training session, and then by then there'll probably be another announcement from the government, and we'll be able to come back to you all with a little bit more information. Obviously, this so-called ring of steel has been removed, which is good news. So I don't know how many of you have actually driven that 25 Ks or broken free, as some people said, and I've heard a few people already been away on a jaunt up to the high country and so on and so forth, which is always really, really good. Obviously, don't forget, if you're going away and doing any trips, you obviously, even if it's just on your own as a group, don't forget to observe the rules and requirements, and don't be afraid. Obviously now's a great time to take advantage of summer weather and freedom we've got. Everybody wants a chance to go away, so keep an eye out for the trips. And look, any trip leaders, if you're half-hearted about doing a trip, please, I beg you, let's just fill the magazine and get the trips out there, whether they be social activities or whatever. Just every opportunity would be just wonderful to get everybody out on that opportunity. Obviously, with COVID restrictions being the way they are, you've got to remember that we need to abide by certain rules, whether it be YARC, trips or whatever. And the club has appointed a COVID officer, as in Matt Lilly. So if anybody's got any issues in relation to COVID questions about trips or whatever, please don't hesitate to give Matt a call. He's a wealth of knowledge, and if he doesn't know, I'm sure he will find out for you. Just a week ago, Geelong had its annual general meeting, which was absolutely fantastic. And I'm pleased to announce that we had 3 nominations. Alison Williams was elected as president. Congratulations, Alison. Festy was elected as treasurer. So congratulations to her. And Greg Fleet was elected as the vice president as well. So good luck to you guys. We're here with support if you ever need us, and don't forget to keep us all involved, including all the members, because we all like to participate in their activities, etc. I was going to talk, I understand that Geelong's got a Christmas break-up party, which no doubt Alison will talk about, on the 29th of November. So everybody's welcome, so put that in your diary. Moving on to club business. So this month, we're still, the Model Rules Subcommittee has again met, still going. More on that shortly to everybody. Multi-purpose building. We're going to have a report on that tonight, which will be good. And I just wanted to mention a couple of milestone awards that we have this month, and these are things that we we normally give people badges and all the rest of it, and I shake your hand and congratulate you, etc. But we'll have to do that in absentia at this stage. So I just wanted to congratulate Graham Dart and Peter and Thea McLean on achieving 10 years with the club. Magnificent milestone. But we also have some 20-year people as well. And John and Wendy Wilson, I actually thought they joined before me, but they must have just joined after me. So, and Bruce and Elizabeth Lundstrom. So I congratulate all of those people on achieving such wonderful milestones with the club. It's great that to have you as part of our membership and for all that you contribute. I haven't got much else I want to say other than I want to just remind you all that don't forget our sponsors. Some of them have been doing it tough, others perhaps not so, I'm not sure. I haven't really had the opportunity to talk to them. Don't be afraid to tell them that you're with the TLC. If you go and talk to them, you never know, you might get a discount, but I don't beg on it considering what tough times we've had out there. And look, when you do go out in the bush on your trips and things, now is the time that we want to spend our money in those regional areas and really give them a bit back, because a lot of them have had it tough. I mean, everybody's had it tough, but if we can spread that around, I think it'll be fantastic. So get out there, forward driving, enjoy yourselves. And tonight we've got a great show. We've got some excellent videos. We've got a presentation from Justin Gill and a few other bits and pieces. So welcome aboard, everybody. Enjoy the night. And back to you, Laurie.
I'll be in the meeting tonight. Thanks for Ian for doing the intro. We are having a few little technical issues with Facebook tonight. Some people can't see it. I've been madly trying to answer their notes. What I did is I transferred back from the new Facebook page to the old one, and it's working well. The new one, I just cannot get to work. I don't know, there's a glitch with it. I assume some people are watching on tablets and they're fine because they're liking the post over there. So I apologise if people can't see it. But certainly on numbers, just to give you a heads up on that, 90 people so far have come to this meeting. We've got 54 on Zoom plus 16 panelists, so that's 70 people on Zoom and 20 over on Facebook. And Facebook's just gone to 25, so that's 95. So it just keeps going as we talk. 25 over there. So, and then you've got partners on top of that. So we're probably looking at 140, 150 people there tonight. So we've got a guest speaker tonight, and our guest speaker is Justin Gill from HEMA. He's going to talk to us about HEMA and some of their products. And I've just got a little video that I'm going to show as an intro for it. And I've got one when he finishes as well.
HEMA was founded in 1983 by Henry and Margaret. That's where HEMA comes from, HE from Henry, MA from Margaret. They just loved going down roads that had never been done before. So early on they headed up to Cape York just as adventurers. We were distributing maps at that time, but they thought, this place up here needs a really good map. So they came back, found a cartographer, and that's where it all started in terms of our foray into four drive mapping. When we first started using GPSs in Map Patrol, people were just using the latitude and longitude to compare it to a paper map to find out where they wanted to be. But then GPSs, shifted markedly from a handheld GPS to an in-car navigation system that would tell you turn-by-turn directions. All the time, that requiring greater and greater accuracy in the mapping detail that people are relying on. And to make a map reliable and accurate, we need to make sure the information is right. And that's where the Map Patrol comes in. So we've got a half-metre accurate GPS in the Map Patrol. It plots straight into a touchscreen laptop computer that's on board, built into the dash. And that collects the data wherever we drive, and we mark out points of interest like campsites, gates, creek crossings, bridges, caravan parks, roadhouses. And then we take that data back to the office and seamlessly sync it to our core database and publish all of our products from there. So typically a Map Patrol team will go out for 2 or 3 weeks at a time, but they need to be totally self-sufficient. The vehicle needs to carry enough fuel and water, food, camping gear, recovery gear, first aid gear, the mapping stuff, basically any equipment that they need to do their job. Their job is to go down every road and track that's in an area, whether it's a good track that is a popular one or whether it's a half overgrown one. They've got to push down those and see where they go, and to have the confidence to go to end of a track just to see where it goes. They don't know what kind of obstacles they're going to come across, technical challenges, difficulties, but they need to be driven and empowered to get as far with the vehicle as they can, and then rely on it to get them back out of there as well. So it's a pretty complex setup on the Map Patrol. We need a chassis extension, wheel track widening, some great tyres on there from Cooper. And it went off to ARB to get a full bar work, accessories, winch, and the BP51s. Fantastic suspension, best suspension I've driven on in all my 25 years of mapping out there. Then it got a metal link canopy where we store all the gear, the tools, the fridge and camping gear at the back. And then the big job started with the whole electrical work with this. So we've got Red Arc involved with the battery management system and dual battery systems. This vehicle's got 4 batteries in it, 2 of them being lithium-ion batteries, which in itself saved a lot of weight. So there's probably around 500 man-hours of work have gone into the electrical part of this. A huge amount of planning to get all the wiring, the harnesses, the lithium batteries in there. Some innovation from Red Arc to get their battery management system to work really well with the lithium, charge rates. And I guess a lot of thought put through to the switches, the mapping gear being constantly charged. We've got a charging station in there for camera gear and other equipment, mobile devices that need backing up. We've got 24/7 GPS satellite tracking on the team that's out there. We know where they are at any point, so we're ready to swing into action and support them should they come across any issues. It's kind of a bit of rejoicing when they get back to the office too, knowing that they've been out on this amazing expedition, seen some amazing places, but come back safely with that fantastic new data that we can put into our products going forward.
Thank you for letting me spend some time with you tonight. My name is Justin Gill. I'm the Sales and Partnership Manager for Victoria, Tasmania and South Australia. I'm also the Project Manager for HEMA, and I also run HEMA U, which is our new training platform, which we've launched right throughout the entirety of Australia. So the video that we just showed you just tried to go through a little bit about the history of who we are. We're a little Australian business. A lot of people get confused with the word HEMA. They think we're Greek or somewhere from Europe, but no, we are a little Australian business, founded by Henry and Margaret Boheim. Henry still sits on the board of HEMA, and he's actually going to be doing one of my training sessions tomorrow night. So HEMA's still very much actively involved with Henry and Margaret, who have been in this business for 30 odd years. You heard Rob Boheim before. Rob's a geologist by trade, and he spent a lot of time with HEMA before was going specifically into the trade that he works with. So what I'm going to do with you tonight is just go through a little bit about what we do. In terms of product training and those sort of things, they're fairly large sessions. So we're not really going to touch on too much in terms of training. If the club would like me to come back and do some specialised training at some stage, then we do run webinars, and we can do that for any club members that want to be involved. It's just a matter of putting that group together. And then you never know, I might be able to get out to Yarrick at some stage with my 76 series, which is sitting behind me. So yes, I do some mapping. I have the secondary map patrol vehicle. So you would have seen the LC 79 on the video that we just showed you. That's our long range touring mapping vehicle. So the 79 series has been around our business for a few years, but the 76 series is what I use through Victoria, South Australia and Tasmania. And I get up to a little bit of southern New South Wales as well. So hopefully I can go through who we are and what we do, and give you a bit of an understanding about who we are as this little Australian mapping business. So obviously HEMA's been going for 30 odd years. We come up to our 30-year celebration of the Map Patrol next year, and we're doing a fairly iconic trip through the Simpson Desert, recreating one of the first trips we actually did with HEMA. So what we've done over these 30 years is we've basically got 1.5 million kilometres worth of off-road tracks and database and roads in our database. Now, we don't map bitumen, we don't map cities, we don't go through anything that you would normally see on a normal road. We don't touch those, we don't care about those. We use a database called Here Streets, which is used by a lot of different mapping companies as well as their core database. So we don't even touch that from a mapping point of view. We incorporate that data into our core database to create our mapping. However, it is actually something that we don't touch. We deal with the 1.5 million kilometres of off-road maps. As well as our mapping, we also physically get out and actually create points of interest. Some points of interest in an old-fashioned based map may be handwritten in. We run interactive based points of interest, so we can use those from both a printed or a paper level all the way through to a digital level as well. And we've got nearly 250,000 points of interest in our core database. So with HEMA, it's all about creating a core database, which we can use for basically anything going forward. So hopefully this clicks over, fingers crossed. Yep, it is moving, it's just running a little bit slow due to streaming. So the Map Patrol's been going for those 30 years or so. And what its aim is to basically capture the centre line of tracks. And we do go everywhere. We try not to break the 79 series or the 76 series much. We did break a drive shaft when we did Tasmania last year. So we do have the odd problems here and there that we do run through. But the whole deal is to get the team out and get the team back once we conclude our mapping surveys. We do run a 1/2 metre accurate GPS, which is how we get that data. And what we create when we get back to the office. So basically, how is a map created? And it's one of our challenges we work, I suppose, is people to understand what we do from a mapping point of view. Is we create what we call the layered map. Okay, so when you look at a zoom level from an electronic point of view, or when you basically pick up a paper map, maps are going to be dictated by the scale of the area that we're going to map. So if you want to have a higher scale, a lower scale, which will give you a more amount of detail in the map, then the map itself will be of a smaller area. So when we build a map, we always have to look at functionality of what the core detail that will be used. And then we also have to look about how much space we can get, because we don't want a customer to turn around and buy 28 maps for a small area of Australia. We try and get that balance. Different maps for different people. A bushwalker will want a different map to a 4-wheel driver, and so forth for a tourer. So we try and build a map basically for those needs. So when we create a map, because we make multi-scale mapping, we don't just make one map for one area. So if we're looking at, we've got a track on this little picture I'm sort of showing you of what a multi-layer mapping system looks like, is basically this is that fine detail. So that's a 1 to 9,000 K zoom. But within our mapping database is we have multiple different maps that are overlaid over the top of each other, all going up to a different level of scale, all the way up to the Australian scale of 1 to 100 or 18 million scale. Okay, we run standard zooms within our electronic devices, and then we go to that 1 to 9K scale through downloadable content in our devices. So the whole challenge is to understand that when we make a map, and when we've, say, for example, done a tour of Tasmania, as we did in November last year, currently using this mapping scale and using multiple map layers, it takes us about 12 months before they actually hit a cartography-based scale where we actually use them for printed product or actually go into a digital system. So what we then do is we make a decision once we've got this core database in place of all this mapping detail, which we've now created, and we've got multiple levels and multiple layers of mapping detail, and we've got 250,000 points of interest to use, is we decide what we're going to do in terms of building a map. So maps, obviously, is going to be multiple scales, but this is just an example page of what we do when we try and turn around what levels of mapping we want to do. Do we map cities? Not really. We don't have a map of Bendigo. We don't have a map of Ballarat because, to be honest, no one needs it anymore. Systems have moved past that. We deal with mainly iconic areas, and it's what HEMA is known for. It's mapping areas where it won't work on your GPS, or where it won't work physically on an online-based device. We still very much play in that iconic space. So just as an example of what we do, we break Australia up and we create different maps. Now, obviously, we could create double this number of maps if we had more scale, but it's that balance of scale versus area that we're actually physically going to cover. An example of what we've just done, so this is actually, it is, put it this way, we're selling it to our retailers as of tonight. is a brand new series of the high country maps. So that's something that I've been very passionate about, and it's taken 18 months to get to this scale. We've always had one high country map, okay, which runs at a scale at 1 to 200,000 K, okay? It's probably too broad. It's a good overview based map, but from a detailed driving point of view, it doesn't really have the scalability, so it misses tracks. So as you're in a higher scale, you have less amount of tracks that are going to be sitting on the map. Reason why is because they get too detailed on that scale. You won't see them in the lines. So what we've turned around and we've rebuilt the high country map series and split it into 4. So to take that one map from a 200K scale map, we've split it into 4 100K scale maps. So to give you an idea, as you halve the scale, you double the quantity of maps you need to create, okay? So if I was going to take this to a 1 to 50K scale, I would need 16 maps to do that same number of, or that same area. If I was going to do a 1 to 25K map, I would need to have 32 maps, okay? So it comes down, scale dictates a lot of what we do, and it comes down to practicality. How do we build that map? Well, the first thing we do is we turn around and we say, okay, what area do we want to physically cover? So as you know, we've got that core database, which we're constantly updating, constantly building ourselves. Now that's a HEMA database. It's not a database like OpenStreetMaps or Mapbox, where that's been purchased from an outside source, an international based mapping source that you then turn around and label as your own map, okay? These are genuine HEMA maps. They're only HEMA maps, okay? We've created this ourselves from the ground up. So we turn around to the space. Now, I looked initially at doing a 75K scale for the high country, but at the end of it, if you want to count each one of those sort of purple squares, there is actually would be a map. So if you look at over in this 100K scale, that gap through there, that's actually where the panels would be in the folded map. That would be the front cover page, and that's the back of the map. So that's basically one map sheet sitting there. Over here, you see the same thing. We've changed the orientation, but to do that same space on a 75K scale, we'd need 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 maps. Now, it comes down to we've got to make a decision what's going to work best for the customer and the consumer. This is our first of. We actually will be dropping another map onto here that should be out by 2021, end of 21, and another one on here. So we will expand this, but we think 100K gets that balance for four-wheel drivers. Now, how do we build that map? How does it go from our concept of what space we want to cover based on scale? This is what we start with. We build our own map from the ground up. So this is basically what they call hill shading. And that's basically where we start. So that's a 3D terrain-based map. And from that, we overlay. So I'm just going to basically go through. This is a time-lapse version of how that map started. So this is just an area in here where we've actually started the hill shading. So that's what those different colors are. And this is what we do to build a map up. So the first thing we do when we go and build up the map is we basically go and put contour lines. All our maps are have contour lines in them. So all contour-based topographical maps. The only difference between, I guess, an old-fashioned topographical map is because we've got hill shading, which comes through a satellite source. So we build up the contour lines. The next thing we then add to our map is we add a grid box, which grids obviously are used and very important for people to locate themselves and be able to say, well, listen, I'm here in this grid versus somewhere else. We area up there, that would be near Sheepyard Flat. We then go and put our core database in over the top. So our core database will be the mapping and the actual roads we've driven from here, and then there'll also be our core track database. We drag that over the top. We then go to the design team and we grab the content. And if I let it run forward, we then grab our points of interest. So that's how we build a map. It's not just a matter of going, bang, here it is. It actually starts from the ground up and gets developed. So with the map, we have different types of content sources within that map. So we, from HEMA, we're part of a group called the Emprise Group. Now, the reason why we're part of, or our business is part of another group, is because the Emprise Group brings together a whole heap of journalists and authors and content. We create mapping. Our job is, we're a mapping business. We don't have people that have wordsmiths and able to create some great journalistic content that goes into our map. So we outsource a lot of that. So we partner with the Emprise Group, and using our map data source as well as our ability to create mapping, we then can create things like atlas and guidebooks. We can create various different tools for people to use. So an atlas and guidebook, for example, the High Country, that's got our top 30 tracks through the High Country and trips to do. Okay, road atlases are purely based on mapping source with multi-scale maps. They're not going to be the same scale on every map for the entire of Australia, as the map source would be 20 times bigger. So we basically can use our maps in whatever different format we want. About 6,500 points of camping points of interest around Australia, as well as together with our maps, and we build up our mapping content, okay, which we can create with publications, and then use our journalistic guys to create the written content that goes within our different guidebooks and atlases. We also then can use our digital tools. So our digital tools are things like the HX1, which is our patented GPS, which is a 12-channel GPS. We have our different apps. It's all based on that Explorer map. So everything comes back to that one map that we've created. So the multi-layer map, so this map here is what we call a raster-based map, which means it's based on mapping tiles. So the little photos that are built up, very much like a mosaic is probably the best way to describe it. So one of the biggest changes that we're moving as we go forward is we're moving into this presentation, and hopefully it's going to come back for me. And what I've got here, this is the HX1, which has just been streamed. So fingers crossed this will work. I'm just going to have a look at the Explore side. Again, there's probably a 2-hour training session on the HX1, so I'm not going to spend too much time with it. I'm just going to talk more about our mapping detail. So when we talk about a raster-based map, you see those squares as I zoom out? I'm going to try and trick it. So to see the squares, so each one of these squares on the HX1 as it's zooming out. Now they're quite big squares because I'm zooming out. As I zoom in and it re-renders, I'll see if I can trick it. Yep, some squares popped up as it's loading up. So basically, as I zoom in, those little squares of detail which are on this actual map itself, those little squares are basically deleting themselves. So where this is at a zoom level, what's going to happen is the map there that you saw has been deleted and replaced with another map. So that's the layering process running with raster tiles. It's a bit slow, it's a bit clunky, okay? In terms of what the industry is and what the industry does, it's pretty much an award-leading device, but there's technology opportunities for us down the track. So once you understand mapping, I suppose, to some extent, is then we can say what we put into it. So the HX1 has multiple levels of scale, and it runs different styles of maps. So we run not just the HEMA map, we also run different styles of maps in the HX1. So these are our raster iconic maps, which are all built in. So if I look at, say, where I am in the High Country there, and I want to overlay the High Country map, I can overlay that in, but at scale level of the High Country based map as it populates in, and you can see how it's got a line there, how it's gradually loading up. That's because that's those mapping tiles again coming in for that for a raster map, and now we get more features and detail from the High Country map. Now the trouble is the High Country map is only a 1 to 200,000 K scale, so I showed you that before, but it goes blue. As soon as I go beyond that scale, it kicks out that map and there's multiple maps. So that's what we call is using multiple map layers in our devices. Our challenge is, how do we make it so we can put more information in our device? So what we're looking for and what we're moving towards over the next, we've already had our first, I guess, apps being launched with what we call a vector-based map. But what it basically does is it means that instead of having these tiles building up this map image, so don't worry about the quality of the image, it's just designed to show pixelation and squares. By moving away from individual tiles, so these are all little tiles in here, we are now moving to a single layered map, which allows it to zoom and rescale without physically having to load up multiple levels of maps. So two things happens with that. It means that where previously we had to, when we built a map and did an update, we had to do all these different scale levels to make the update go through. And then secondly is the speed that the map will load, because obviously it's only loading one map as opposed to multiple scale levels. And then thirdly, it means it'll be a less device size. So it means we can do more things. So one of the things that we've launched, and fingers crossed this is going to work, so I'm going to try and stream, is what we call our 4x4 Explorer app, which is our first vector-based map. So now we've got our raster-based maps, which are those tile-based maps that you saw before, moving to a vector-based map. So we're going to have a look at it live, and I'll have a bit of a play around with it, and you're sort of seeing what it looks like. It means that we have the ability to crunch a lot of data in a more seamless way, in terms of that speed of zoom. It's not having to rescale and retile the map every 5 seconds. So it means that we can put more data into the map itself, okay? And it gives different perspectives. So we can move to something like a 3D based overview of the map itself, rather than physically being stuck with that one single frame. So it gives a very, very different experience for drivers. So if I have a look at, we'll click this one off from here, and I'm going to try why this is going to mirror my iPad, which it's doing. So I'm happy doing that. So this is my iPad. Nothing too excited. I think I just got rid of it, did I? There we go. Okay, so if I go into this app that we're now running, it gives you a bit of an idea around the experience that we now can create. So purely this is running on the map itself, because I'm streaming this, so I can't really use the internet. So you can just see instantaneously how quick it is to move around. Lots of data sets. Now, a lot of people will go, oh, look at all the circles and stuff. We want those out of the way. So we can turn those on and turn those off by pressing buttons. So if we just want to go down to a pure level of mapping, then we can do that. We have a 3D based view. So in terms of our speed of use, it allows us to actually go to another level in terms of one of the apps that we're in terms of building an app. Things like searchability. So we can search for different four-wheel drive tracks. Go away. Okay. It also means that things like points of interest, we can start to have some fun with them. So we can view information around the points of interest built into the map. We can start adding photos or user-generated photos, reviews and comments around the track itself. So it allows us to go to things like campsites and start adding information in campsites user-driven. So this has been on the market for about 3 weeks, okay? But the whole thing is our next generation of mapping, our next generation of apps is very much going to be around sharing of data. So to give you a bit of an example, we'll just have a look at Sheepyard Flat, because I know I've been there and I took some photos myself. So, oh, that's Devon Hills, I missed it, that one. So Sheepyard Flat, information using the points of interest. And this is why you don't want necessarily points of interest embedded into the map itself. We want to make them usable. We want to be able to physically use the information that our users are collecting. So it basically allows us to have a map which is world leading and always has been from the HEMA map point of view. We are the only Australian mapping company that physically goes out and maps. Okay, there's Geoscience, which is the government-based institution, which doesn't do a huge amount of mapping now from a general mapping point of view. We physically still create a map for the entire of Australia. So we get to use that iconic-based map, but then we get to also start to use user input, which is a very exciting opportunity for us going forward. So we can still overlay things like if I wanted to turn around and grab the raster maps. Let's find the high country one because we're playing in the high country. Now we're on the west side of the high country. So I can overlay over the top the raster map. Obviously, you've got different scale. No, these icons won't click on, can't do anything with them. But the whole thing is I've still got access to a raster-based map if I want to. So that's the generation of what we're doing. And that's what you say the difference with a raster map is. And a lot of people use a raster map, but when you get to the end of the screen, you're in a bit of trouble if you haven't got another map to jump onto. So that is very much where we are. Let me have a look and see if there's anything else for me to go through. And then I'm happy to have a chat with anybody and take anybody's questions if they want. So let me just go back on the premium map there. And I'll turn this one off. And I can see if there's anything left on my presentation that I haven't got to. No, I've got to the end. So I will stop sharing now and I'll come back on the screen. So I don't know if you want to do questions. I don't know how we do those, Laurie. I'm assuming that there'll be some questions that you can read out to me if there's anything anybody wants to answer. But in terms of training and technical stuff, as I said, the plan was for me to be able to support you guys at one of your trips away to Yarrick. It's just purely obviously been this challenge of COVID that we're sort of living with. So I do intend to catch up with your group at some stage and we can spend some more specific time around questions or queries that you do actually have from a product point of view. But I'm happy to answer questions now based on whatever time constraints you have.
Okay, thanks, Justin. I've got 4 questions. Geez, they're flooding in at the moment, so we'll take a couple of questions. First one is, how is HEMA different from VMS? Didn't both companies have an alliance at some stage?
Never.
Sorry? Never. Okay, all right. How much of Australia is covered under vector-based maps?
Entire of Australia and the world, to be honest, but it doesn't have the HEMA mapping component outside of Australia. But the vector map, because it's a worldwide based map source, it's actually worldwide.
Okay. And Robert Fairwacker, more or less the same question. Do vector maps cover the whole of Australia? Well, you already answered that. So Gary Cooper asks, geez, there are more questions coming. Gary Cooper asks, how do I get a job in the mapping team?
We haven't done a huge amount of mapping over the last 8 months, as I'm sure you're all aware, because of people closing borders on us. So to be honest, we actually have a different way that we've embarked on over this COVID situation. It's worth answering that question. We actually now have a group of what we call alpha users. So they're actually supporting us as regular 4-wheel drive members in different states of Australia. We actually have a special device that we've built for them. And we're actually now able to seamlessly add that device to our core database. So the answer is anybody can get a job with us now, as long as they have certain levels of qualification in terms of driving ability. And we've got some basic questionnaires, but we've currently got 10 alpha users on board at the moment. So don't be afraid to, when you see me, come up and have a chat and tell me what you want to do.
Okay, so we've got 2 questions very similar from Russell Mothorpe on Zoom and from Christian Griffin on Facebook asking the same question. What are the costs? And Russell says, what are the costs of the 2 options you've shown?
So the HX1's a GPS. So the HX1 regular retail's about 700, but normally you'll pick them up for sort of around $5.99. depends on what the retailers are doing from a pack point of view. We have various packs, but we always make sure that we don't undercut retailers. The app, so we've got 5 different apps. So I showed you the new Vector 4x4 app. Its normal cost is $50, and then you get what we call our light version, our standard maps. Our premium maps are a subscription-based content with our raster map subscription. So for $100 a year, you get the full subscription to premium-based maps and our entire raster map range as well. So $50 for the app, and then sort of $100 a year for every update that comes through for the raster maps and the premium maps going forward.
Okay, good. And Robert Duff over on Facebook says, is the 4x4 Explorer available on iPad, and what is the cost to update?
I just showed you on the iPad, so that was my iPad going. In terms of update, you just buy the app. So there's no updates for, as I said, once you've bought the app, you'll get a style of mapping that will be kept up to date. For the premium-based mapping and the raster maps, remember those raster maps, those paper overlays, they have to be updated. So that's why we have to do a subscription-based content for that. So yeah, iOS, Android, we wouldn't release a device unless it did iOS and Android. It's kind of a bit pointless if you don't.
Okay, so Corin Peppin asks, Justin, I have HEMA 4-wheel drive maps on an older iPad. Have installed the app on a newer one, but how do I ensure all the maps I have paid for get ported across? Okay,
so one of the old apps, it's used to be run on what they call the Aussie Explore background. So that's an Aussie Explore map store. So with those older based mapping programs, I'm assuming it's the 4-wheel drive map, you actually purchase secondary map licenses. You should be able to pull them over through downloading and re-uploading. It depends on what device. It's hard to say unless I know if it's an Android or an iOS. If you're unsure, our tech support team can work with you, and they've done some amazing things for customers. But as long as it's the same subscription, it's normally a lot easier. If it's iOS to iOS, if it's iOS to Android or vice versa, it can get a bit messier. But our tech support team's still based in Brisbane. Being the little Aussie company we are, just go to hemamaps.com. You'll see right-hand side of the screen, there's a tech support button. They'll be able to help you if you do struggle with that. But just remember, with that app, you actually are buying secondary licenses. You're not necessarily buying the HEMA stuff, you're buying stuff from other suppliers.
Good. All right. And Steve McAdam, it looks like that might be the last question I have here at the moment. Hi, Justin. A very informative session. If I pay the annual premium for HEMA Explorer, do I have to pay again for the 4x4 Explorer?
Well, it's a different app completely, running on a different platform. So one's the raster-based mapping system. Very, very different. It's a bit like having VHS and going to DVD. Okay. As much as you'd like to be able to use your VHS tapes in your DVD player, it doesn't quite work that way from an operating system. One's running what they call Android 8 and iOS on 14. There's different operating systems. In terms of the subscription, you're going to pay continuously anyway. So you're just going to move your subscription over. Again, the tech support guys can help you with that. It depends where you're up to with your subscription. So there's no dramas with that. But yes, you will have to buy the app itself. So that app itself as a new one-off purchase, but your subscription can move.
Okay, so Shane Hornby asks, is the vector mapping software just shown a new product? Is it called 4x4 Explorer Premium? Is it available now?
Yes, it is.
Yeah, what's the price?
So 4x4 Explorer is the name of the app.
And
so 4x4 Explorer. So 4x4 Explorer, yeah.
Yeah, okay. And you want to know what it costs?
$50.
Okay.
And then you pay for your subscriptions of $100 a year, which are for the premium subscription and the raster. Now, you don't have to get the raster maps. I love rasters. I'm a big fan of raster maps. Okay, so I'm used to them. So I'd 100% do that, but you don't have to. You can just get the app on its own and off you go.
Robert Fairweather asks, do vector maps now have information that was previously covered by Camper X?
By Camper X. So Camper X is a different app. So Camper was brought in It runs on what they call the Tripegy Points of Interest system. It's a co-publication with Tripegy. It was designed to take on Wikicamps. It does have a lot of that data in it, yes, but it's got the HEMA data as well, which CamperX doesn't. So CamperX basically runs on Tripegy and doesn't run on the HEMA Points of Interest. So 4x4 Explorer runs on both. So you'll find there's more.
Okay, so James asked, do you need internet to use vector mapping 4x4 Explorer?
No, you can download it before you go away.
Okay. And Shane asked a continuation on his question, well, can you continue to use it if your subscription expires?
Or you can use the app. You just want the subscription will give you extra levels of mapping. So you'll still have the basic light map.
Okay, all right. And I think my final one is Duncan says, why aren't you Apple CarPlay compatible?
Apple CarPlay is really for international companies. It doesn't really work for little Australian companies.
Okay.
When we become a multi-billionaire based company and have more than 16 employees, we'd probably do Apple CarPlay. And we'll join the world of Google and Apple Maps and those sort of guys. But to be honest, they put a lot of hard compliance-based information, Apple CarPlay. Google took them to court to get on to Apple CarPlay. Remember that. They make it very, very difficult. There's massive technology development that we have to invest in. Are we looking at it? Yeah, 100%. We're looking at it. It's an interesting debate. It's not just a flick a switch thing. That's the first thing you need to understand.
Okay. All right. Well, Justin, that's about all the questions I've got at the moment. So if we get any more and you're still around, we can ask you. But I know you're a busy man, so I'm going to show a little farewell video that you've asked me to show. And yeah, thanks very much for coming on tonight and talking about HEMA.
No worries. Thanks, guys. And I hope to see you on the tracks at some stage and visit you at Yarrick.
Well, it wasn't that exciting. For those people that like using HEMA, very informative discussion there by Justin. Chris Treble from DA, would you like to come in and give us a DA report?
Yeah, certainly. Thanks, Laurie. Good evening, everyone. Last weekend we went up to Yark. We were trying to clean up the all the regional people. We had booked in for, well, chased about 9 people. Unfortunately, we only received about 4 that could actually make it, which was good. We had a good weekend. The weather was great. The property, Brian, I've spoken to Brian since I've come back. So the maintenance group are going up on the weekend. There's quite a bit of maintenance that needs to be done before even the summer, before we open the property, basically. Some of the tracks need a bit of fixing up, and there's a lot of grass around the area, which we're all aware of, which would need to get cleaned up. But anyway, we still had a good weekend. There was quite a few trees down, which we had to remove from the tracks, which we cleared out of the way. But in general, that was a good weekend. Everyone enjoyed themselves. The next plan is for the 28th and the 29th. At this stage, it's probably planned to be our final practical session for the year. And we're hoping to get as many of the metropolitan people that we haven't been able to catch up with up on that weekend. So I think I was speaking to Simon last night, and at this stage, I think there's about, we think there's about 15 people that we need to make contact with. But it also depends on the number of instructors that are available to attend on that weekend, the 28th and the 29th. So we'll find out. So we're making contact with those people this week, but we've just got to work out the instructor availability. So, but we're still conscious of the fact that we're still limited to a maximum of 20. So there might be some carryover. There probably might be a carryover for the new year that we have to contend with for about 6 to 8 people or members that we need to catch up with. But if we can get it cleaned up this year, it would be really good. But no, we had a good weekend last weekend. It was really good. I think that's about it, Laurie.
Okay, thanks, Chris. Great report there. All right. We have a video from the border track trip that Heidi and I did last year. Steve McAdam was keen to edit it together because he liked some of the drone footage which we saw. So with that being an introduction, I'm now going to show you the video.
Oh, come on, this is a big rock.
Oh, hang on a sec, there's a whole road named after it. You get this one.
But you know, guys, come over here. Beautiful. The view is incredible.
What can you see? What can you see, Rick?
Zero, nothing. Hopeful people.
Did you wait to be called up?
No.
Whoa.
We don't actually have room in the flat for a microwave, so we just go.
What happened? Wrong gear.
We're gonna go back.
Isn't this a V8?
Problem between the seat and the steering wheel, I think.
Someone's driving it like a stolen ear, I tell you. No, we won't make it. Didn't see how much power there.
Okay, foot to the floor.
It makes when you got a few kilos out of the car. Awesome, Charlie, well done. I like his flotation already. Lovely flotation.
Oh,
Well done, Steve. 3 inches past.
so close. Ooh, la la.
That's it.
Wow, beautiful.
Yeah, that's good speed.
Good speed.
Well done. Good effort there, Steve. Robert. Keep it going. Keep more power, more power, more power. Keep it going. A bit more. Nearly there. Well done. Good effort. Keep the power going, keep the foot down, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going. Okay, well done, good effort.
Stop before you run into the back of my car.
You're flying.
You can slow down now, Hunter. Awesome. Whoa. Well done.
Nice nose. Nice up. Well done, Zero.
Yeah. 103rd, 41st Meridian. So half of us are in the disputed country and half aren't.
This spot.
A couple of
This place.
This is where the Victorian South Australian border should have been. Awesome. Wonderful flotation. This is the bumpy bit. Keep it going, keep it going. Great bit of mogul driving there, Hunter. A lot better this time. Coming up to the moguls now. Oh yes, Steve-O, you've cleaned the moguls out. He hardly... Whoa, now. Here's the moguls, all that camping gear's going. Keep it going, don't stop here. Well done. Going well. Keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, keep it going, get up the top. Well done, good effort, Mo. You're over. Keep the power up, keep the power up the hill. Good, well done. Power. Oh, easy peasy. Now you can do a right hand turn there or you can go down. No, I said a right hand turn, you did the left, okay. You're going down. Awesome, 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 awesome. Well done, Steve-O. Well done, Mo. Good effort. Mo's clear.
Well, wasn't that an exciting video? Thanks to Steve McAdam for putting that together. And Sandra Tanner, you're amazing. The 3 S's, I think, of Sandra Tanner. Sandra with 1 S. San is another. And Big Smile is another. She's always smiling when she sees Sam. So, Sandra, I was watching you. There's a nodding her head. All right. Glad you enjoyed the video. And our next subject report will actually be Eric Bishop on the MPB. You're there, Eric.
I'm providing the MPB committee report. Our committee is finalised now. There's 5 people on the committee: myself, Peter Birchall, Rob Laversha, Traco, and Gary Holt. So our primary role is to ensure that planning is effective and well coordinated. And to kick off, we had a meeting up on site last week with Peter and Traco and Grubb to have a look at doing the earthworks for the footing, the MPB building itself, so to cut and fill the platform. He's provided us with his price and so forth, which I've sent through to the team, and we'll get in touch with Bruce and Tony and the rest of the executive committee and talk about that and going forward. Getting volunteers to start doing the building and so forth. Once we're ready to start fitting out the building, we'll be advertising on Weekend Wrap for everybody who wants to have a crack at that. Subcontractor works and so forth will happen during the week, primarily for obvious reasons. Weekends for them is not really a good idea. So any works we do during the week too, we'll be planning some works during the week with which our volunteers who are available at that time should go up there and give us a hand. All the works that we do on weekends naturally will be coordinated with DA and the maintenance management weekends, so we don't step on one another there. We are looking at better access into the MPB because of the need to get concrete agitators in there and the big trucks and trailers that the shed people would normally employ to carry their equipment up there. Rob and Peter will be talking to Brian Stewart about that on the weekend, because there's some earthworks, roadworks that need to be done. We might be able to coordinate the two together, and we'll come up with a better plan with that and let everybody know what's going on there. We are now at the moment, we've just completed our some of our paperwork for scope of works for the shed and the like. So we finalising the group of suppliers who provide, manufacture and install the shed. We're looking at going out to probably 5 companies with the hope of getting 3 good prices in. That scope of works has just been complete. I've sending it off to the others on the executive committee for their review next week before we finalise our list of suppliers. Now, our earthworks, we would be looking at starting mid-December, providing the fees are all agreed and approved for the earthworks contractor. That's the Grubb, of course. But we need to complete the retaining wall. So Traco, Peter and Rob and Gary probably all be up at the ARC maintenance weekend this coming weekend, so they can discuss how that's going to go forward. But generally speaking, we've got 3 or 4 more poles to put in the ground and some more concrete planks to finalise that. We've still got to buy more, which is Traco's working on that at the moment. So the earthworks should start mid-December and it'll only be there for 2 days. So that'll get us the cut into the hill, and the excess dirt from the cut will go in to fill the downside of the location. So far nothing is jumping off the page with us in terms of surprises with budget and any risks and the like. But generally speaking, we get the earthworks done. We can start the shed building once we approve an approved supplier. The intention is to start the first week of February with that. The documents we've been producing, we've done quite a substantial amount of work. We've produced a program, which is a detailed list of activities, our scopes of works in terms of references and all this sorts of stuff, all the administrative paperwork, which is on a cloud that Rob has created. As soon as most of those documents are still work in progress, but as soon as they're all the finals complete, we'll be dropping them into the website for everybody to see, and then there should be no surprises once we do our monthly reports and the like, and the executive's pretty happy with them. We'll lump them up there onto the website as well. So moving forward, we're looking at say maybe a half a dozen or 4 or 5 volunteers, not very many really, to finish the retaining wall off, because any more than that, you'll start getting in each other's way. But generally speaking, it's all rock and roll at the moment. We're all locked and loaded and ready to hit the scraps and start pulling this thing together. Rob's sending out a request to each of the user groups, the stakeholders who initially gave their information relating to their needs, their requirements and their wants. We're just going to requalify all of that, so to make sure that we don't end up with greater storage cupboard area that we don't need. If people, have stated earlier that they might think that they needed a whole bunch more than what they really do need, we're sort of working through that at the moment. We're looking at sending out a matrix to each of the stakeholders and the colour schemes and so forth, albeit that our planning permit says that we nominated in the planning permit that the colour of the shed would be green and the same as the Hilton, but we want to make it look a little bit more earthy and a little bit more earth tones and the like. If that's possible, we'll be finalising that in the next fortnight or so. I know Liz Mills has provided us with a good scope of colour, which is pretty snazzy, and basically it sort of it aligns with our thinking as well. But Peter Birchall and Rob are going to be pushing that along. Outside of that, that's me with the MPB report, and back over to you, Laurie. Any questions?
All right.
We'll fill them later.
Okay, thanks, Eric. Yeah, if we get any questions come up on questions and answers or chat, yeah, we'll certainly pass them through. So far, none. Only you've got a couple there at the moment talking about the video. Someone says, James Everett says, nice video, Steve. Looks like a fun trip. And John Riley says, great video, Laurie and Steve. Thanks. All right, I'm going to call in Liz Mills for an education report.
Hi, everybody. I hope you're enjoying the extra freedom we've got at the moment. Thank you, Justin. That was a great presentation. Justin and I have been in touch for a few months now about getting him up to Yark to do a hands-on presentation for you. So keep your eye open for that sometime next year. It's just a matter of working out a date that we can do that up at Yark for you. Thank you also to George Matar, who's a member of the club, who did a fantastic presentation, a Zoom one in October, on the fine art printing workshop. So thank you. There was a lot of feedback on that, and we also intend to get him up there at some stage as well. Tara repair course obviously is full, 6th, 7th of December. We've got 6 on the wait list. Now what we'll do with these wait lists, if at some stage we'll organise another one. The boys are quite happy to do another one next year. So we'll get in touch with the people that are on wait lists to start off with, to see if they're still interested before we advertise it and get in touch with anybody else. First aid course, 20th, 21st of February. We have 10 already on that. So we're about half full at this stage. Also on the 20th of February, so the first day of the first aid course, where we've got a CPR certificate course. That's just purely CPR, will go for about 3 hours. So again, look on the website. Now, the new thing I've got to tell you this time is we do have the photography for beginners course up on the website now. All the details are there. I have a feeling actually it may have booked out already, and I'm sorry it's sort of filled up before I even get the chance to talk to you about it. But if you're interested, please put your names on the wait list, and we'll see if we can get her to do another course for you. Yes, it is limited only to 8 people, unfortunately, but she does want to make it a really good hands-on course for you. So that's why it is so limited. But I'll have a word to her and see if we can increase it at least by a couple, and what we can do about another course another time. Maybe we can organise one, if not at Yark, perhaps another place. So also, we've also got a lot of other courses in mind for you for next year. So just keep an eye on the website, and if I get any more information about anything else we've organised, I will certainly let you know as soon as possible. So keep an eye also on Facebook and Weekend Wraps. So that's all for this month. So we'll see you around. Bye.
Thanks, Liz. Great report there. Yes, your trip has, your education course has filled up, I see. You've got 8 takers already. Jeez, that filled fast, didn't I? Put it on Weekend Wrap on Sunday night, and bang, they've gone for it. All right, Brian Stewart. Yes, I will try and get to spell your name right, Brian. I know you've got a great brain, but my fingers aren't doing too good. Brian, I'm calling you in for a yacht management report.
Good evening, everyone. Okay, next weekend, our maintenance weekend, and I have a full quantity. I've got 20 members coming. They're all from the yacht management team. So we'll be working and getting a lot of those jobs done that are outstanding. And I've had a chat with Chris Treble the other night, and I've noted the things that he has been talking about, the grass and everything. Right, we'll be conducting our weekend under fairly strict COVID policy. We've got a yacht policy for the COVID, and we have our self-assessment forms, which will be filled in each day by everyone there. And then Sandra gets a copy of those at the end of the show. What she does with them, I don't know, but she'll be collecting quite a few of those. Yeah, we're looking forward to a good weekend up there, because it's been quite some time since all the team have been there, and we'll be able to discuss some of the things that we've talked about on the Zoom meetings that just haven't sort of really been able to finalise. So I think we'll be having a lot of discussion over the weekend, as well as a lot of work being done. So just looking forward to seeing everyone up there at the weekend, and once we get back to being normal, travelling and able to use the property to its best use, and the newer members will be able to come up and they'll be able to participate in some of these maintenance weekends. So we're looking forward to a good year ahead. Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Brian. Very informative report as well tonight. That's good to hear things are moving ahead with yacht management. I'm now going to call in Alison Williams, the new president down at Geelong branch. You're there, Alison.
Thank you, Laurie. Hello, everyone. Great to see everybody on Zoom tonight and Facebook. Geelong are having a catch-up on November the 29th at the Outlook in Maud. It's called the Bunjil Lookout. Everyone's welcome, so please book in via Wild Apricot, and all the details are on Wild Apricot. We're having a meeting on Tuesday, the 1st of December at the Geelong West Town Hall. We still have to hear back in writing. I think Sandra's waiting to hear back from the council, but if not, we have plans for another room, and we'll make sure that everyone knows about that if we do need to change. We're having a barbecue again in January, Dog's Day out at the Yuyangs. We've had that for a few years now. It works really well, and everyone can bring along their dog on a lead, well behaved of course, and enjoy a barbecue. So looking forward to seeing as many people as we can on the 29th of this month. Thanks, Laurie.
Thanks, Alison. Sounds like things are going great guns down there at Geelong at the moment. That's good to see, Alison. Trip convener, Viv Gardner's decided to ring the Steels down. She's off, she's gone. She went out on today, and I tried to ring her tonight. She's out of range. She's not even taking phone calls. So she asked me if I just cover trips, and when she told me there was no new trips, everything was full, and she said, could I give Dulcie's working bee later this month a push, because she needs a few more people to actively get involved and help Dulcie do some work down at Jericho, I think it is. So if anyone that can make that, please help her out. I actually have a new trip come through tonight, which I will be putting up on the website either today or tomorrow, so stay tuned. James Clark's running a new trip at the end of this month, I think it is, so it's a short notice one. I've got a video taken by done by John and Liz Mills of their bins track.
Yes, I'm going to wash my hair.
This is TLC having a well-earned bath.
Here we go.
Made the announcement of the club meeting. Down the back of the audience came 1 hump or 2, Roger.
In Alice Springs, we meet up with members of the Outback 4x4 Club. If you like, this is part of the assays office. This is the blacksmiths. The jailhouse.
That's a good shot. It's a bail.
I think there's a little campground up a bit further.
What are you doing?
Hello, Bill.
Am I supposed to look natural or just get...
Just look yourself, Bill.
You're on the video. We've got good weather and good...
Sadly, the next section between the Plenty Highway and the Sandover Highway were closed, so a detour was taken. Wolframite was found at Hatches Creek in 1914 and mined by hand.
This is John.
Phil, there's another car on the track.
Well, thanks Liz and John for putting that video together. We're fast coming to the end of our meeting soon, and we're just about to move into questions and answers. And I'm going to call in President Ian Ross to handle the Q&As.
Thank you, Laurie. Just if anybody's got any general business, if you could just pop it through, please, on Q&A. But I just wanted to just do a bit of a sum up on tonight and talk about a couple of other minor things. First of all, I'd like to thank Laurie and Rob for putting on tonight's meeting. As I say, it's a production. A lot of work goes into it every month to make it happen. I appreciate everything they do, and I'm sure you all would join me in thanking them for their extensive inputs. You know, I've heard about HEMA, and I've heard Chris Bird talk about HEMA. And I know it's got something to do with maps, but I haven't really had a lot to do with it. But golly, I learned a lot tonight. And Justin, thanks for a fabulous presentation. And certainly a hands-on session would be really, really great. I'd like to understand it a lot more. I think it sounds like a fabulous product. To our driver training team, thank you so very much for everything you're doing, churning through the people that are all on the waiting list. Obviously, there's lots of things to do there, and so thank you for your efforts. Excellent videos tonight. Thanks, Laurie, for arranging those, and Liz and various people that contributed to them. That's fantastic. Thank you. We had an extensive report on the multi-purpose building, and we'll try to keep the membership well abreast of updates and information in relation to that. Watch out for the training courses, as Liz highlighted tonight. And Liz, you're doing a great job. Thanks very much for all that you do. Obviously, the tyre repair course we've got coming up, the first aid course, the CPR certificate, the beginner's photography, and there will be more. And don't forget, if you've got any ideas, Liz is always receptive to other ideas and things on training. YARC, to the YARC maintenance team that's going up this weekend, thank you so much for all your efforts. I know there's a lot to be done there, and Brian, I think you do a great job bringing the team together every month to make it happen up there, because it doesn't just happen. There's work, a lot of work, and Brian, I think you do a great job in bringing it all together, and I'll bet that everybody's biting that bit to get up there as quickly as possible. To Geelong, I'll be coming down on the 29th. I've already booked in, Alison. Good luck with running your role of president. Don't forget, we're here to support you as much as we can, and we look forward to some more activities and things and member involvements across the board. And look, obviously right now the ring of steel's off. Yes, we still have COVID, but yes, we can still have some trips. And one of the great things about what we can do is outdoor activities are a lot easier to run than indoor activities. And so our trips are something that we can really, really make a lot of. And sadly, we're pretty booked out at the moment. But that doesn't mean we can't accept some last minute trips and get them into the magazine as quickly as possible, or get them onto the Wild Apricot or our website as soon as possible, just to sort of get them out to the members. And when I talk about trips, I'm not just talking about those weeks away or a weekend away. I mean, there can be day trips, there can be simple trips. I mean, I think you'll find that the membership at the moment will be receptive to anybody that's doing it. I'm not a registered trip leader. I have run trips in the past. Maybe I need to update. Yes, I will, Liz, or sorry, Viv. But for those people that are registered, please, and you've done your training, now's your time to shine for us all. So please, please, please get out there and try to get those trips up and running for us. Other than that, look, are there any questions, Laurie? I can't see any there yet, but assuming there isn't, that's really all I've got to say. I'd like to thank everybody for joining us tonight. And don't forget, if you've missed something tonight, you can always play it back on Facebook. Thanks again to everybody that's joined us tonight, all the panelists and everybody else. Stay safe, keep your four-wheel drives up to date, and don't forget, charge your batteries, service them, etc., and go for it, folks. We've got the chance. Over to you, Laurie. Thank you so much.
All right, thanks, Ian. No, there is actually no questions. It looks like we've tied everyone out tonight with their questions. Everyone's staying on board. I notice everyone's still over on Facebook and still here on Zoom. So over tonight, we had over 100 people book into our courses, into our meeting, plus their partners. So fantastic. I think we're up to about 160, 170 tonight. That would be my guess. So well done. On that note, I'm going to say thanks for joining us tonight, and we shall see you again next month.